What division you want to get into first? Do you want to talk about?
So I'm going to pull up the odds right here so we all can take a look at it. We're going to start off in the AFC East. And Gabe, I'm going to point it over to you. This is your division. This is where the Dolphins are. This is probably one of the tightest divisions in the AFC. You have three, in my opinion, three contenders, and also according to Vegas. So for the audio listeners out there, New York Jets are plus 160, Buffalo Bills are plus 195, Miami Dolphins are plus 210, and the New England Patriots are plus 2,600. So yeah, throw the New England Patriots out. This is a three-team race. How you feeling, Gabe?
I'm feeling I'm a little anxious. It's a mix of confidence of, I get another year of Tua, my Tua right here, okay? But also, a little bit anxious. I mean, I feel like this season for the Dolphins is kind of a show me season. Like you said, it is very contentious. Feels like a 3-horse race in this division. But overall, going into the season, I'm pretty excited. I think we're sitting in a nice spot. If you want to get into it, I mean, I feel like overall, we're finally gonna get a full season of Aaron Rodgers. I think this is why they're favored right now. We're gonna get full 17 games. I was about to say 16. Of Aaron Rodgers, and I think there is talent there. There is talent to watch and look out for. But to me, this division is the Bills' division until otherwise said. Like, I'm not very confident in the Bills making a deep playoff run, but I think until otherwise seen, until there's evidence to prove otherwise, I think this division is the Bills' division to win. I see them winning more. I pulled up. Let me pull up. I have some other predictions. There was another website I was looking at. Kind of a predictive thing, but I think for me this is Josh Allen's division for now. What do you think?
I disagree with you, honestly. I am not confident in the Bills at all. I mean, look, I'm there to wait and see, but I don't know who he's going to throw the ball to. It just seems like everybody's gone. There's some rookies in there. There's a lot of unproven guesses. And look, maybe they find a diamond in the rough and somebody comes out and plays well. Obviously, you got James Cook, who towards the end of the season last year, and for most of the season, obviously, for Buffalo, he played extremely well. It kind of changed the way Buffalo plays stylistically. But I don't know, man. And I get what you're saying. Like, you have Josh Allen there. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's superbly talented. They have a massive home field advantage being in that upstate New York. But they really worry me a lot. And then as for the New York Jets, while I do like the New York Jets team from top to bottom, especially on the defense side, the one question mark that really worries me is, how is Aaron Rodgers going to come back? And if we get the same Aaron Rodgers of old, great, awesome. I see the Jets being in there, that number one spot, deservingly so. But, man, I'm going to have to go with your team, Miami Dolphins. I just feel like they're ready. I don't think it's so much like a show me. I think this is it. Like, this is now. Like, you are competing. You've made the playoffs last year. You've beefed up the squad for the most part. You've re-signed guys. You're running it back plus more. This is it, in my opinion. Like, to me, it's the Dolphins to take. I think they have the opportunity to win. I think they're going to beat Buffalo. Playing Buffalo early is good. And to me, it's mostly because I have questions at Buffalo and New York. New York sense is like, how's Aaron Rodgers going to play? He might be fine. I don't know. Buffalo, who's he going to throw to? Maybe somebody comes out and actually ends good, but I don't know.
I like their draft pick for sure. Keon Coleman, the guy they drafted round 2.
Yeah,
I like him.
I like him too, but like, we'll see. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, there's guys who get drafted first round in the wide receiver position and not do anything. So you're kind of relying a lot on one guy who is a second rounder at the end of the day. So versus the Dolphins, I feel like the Dolphins are going there and knowing exactly who they are and what they're going to be. So I like the Dolphins here.
Yeah. And listen, the Jets, I mean, I still think there's people to be afraid of, right? They have Wilson, they have a full season of Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner. They know that matchup of Tua versus Sauce Gardner is going to be something to watch. Like I said, I'm anxious. These are matchups I do want to see. But I think this is the Bills. If you're talking about division winner, I'm taking the Bills to division.
And the Jets got Mike Williams this offseason. So, Dude, yeah, the Jets are good. But It's going to be really interesting. Honestly, me and you could both be wrong. The Jets win. To me, it really is a 3-team toss-up.
Yeah.
So, like, don't hate us in the comments for not picking your team or whatever it might be. But because, like, honestly, I could see any 3 of them winning. I would probably put the Bills in 3rd place. But even so, there's still potential. They still can win it nonetheless. All right, let's move over to the AFC South. This one is also, I would say, a pretty competitive one. Not as competitive as the AFC East, but it seems to be a pretty balanced division. I would say Tennessee is probably, for sure, the weakest team in here. I think they can compete, but I don't really expect much coming into Tennessee. They're still in rebuild mode, going round 2 with their second year with their quarterback. I think it's really going to be a 3-team race between Houston, Jacksonville, Indianapolis. And for the audio listeners, the odds are right now Houston plus 100, Jacksonville plus 290, Indianapolis Colts plus 320, Tennessee Titans plus 950. All right, I'm going to bounce it over to you, Gabe. What do you think of this division, and who do you got?
I mean, the team that most excites me the most is the Houston Texans. I'm a big fan. I'm big on the Houston Texans this year. I'm very excited to watch Caleb Williams pull out another.
Not Caleb, CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud. I'm sorry, I was thinking about another season. I'm very excited for that team. I think as far as transaction, I think they bolstered the most. I think if I had to comment on the other teams, I think Jacksonville Jaguars. I've been waiting. I've been patiently waiting. I know Julian's going to come in here. I've been patiently waiting for the Jaguars, but every time I've seen a game, I've always seen holes. There's always been, Trevor's trying to. He's pushing. He's pushing and end the games. I've seen holes in the line. They do have talent. They have had acquisitions, but I've never seen it like a full season of. Like consistency. It always feels like you're just always like a step behind the other teams. So if I had to pick out of all of them, I'll probably say Jacksonville 3rd, Colts 2nd, and the Houston Texans excite me the most coming into the season.
Yeah, disrespect to put us 3rd over the Colts. No. Look, I want to say I think the Colts are going to be competitive for sure. I do think Houston's a little too strong of a favorites because, look, at the end of the day, we are Jacksonville, and I'm used to it my entire life, always getting looked down on or people not really believing on us or whatever it is. And rightfully so, we haven't really earned it. But even when you do have a good team, people still think, it's whatever. I think this Jacksonville team has really beefed up themselves. This is probably one of the best teams I have ever seen in my life. From a roster perspective, from a coaching perspective, this team is stacked. You bringing in a rookie wide receiver to replace Calvin Ridley, who was supposed to be, and he looked great in the preseason. Bringing in Gabe Davis, who's looked pretty solid too. Obviously, the backfield, Travis Etienne. I think Trevor's going to look a lot better. Offensive line is better. I think I would like to see it. I would say the offensive line is improved, but I would like to see them at a higher level, and maybe we'll see that this offseason. I mean, this 2024 season. I think the Colts still got time, still got ways to go. I think they overperformed last year than what we expected. So, and as for Houston, while yes, their offseason was incredible, bringing in Stephon Diggs along with a plethora of other players. I mean, look, I'm looking at here Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz, and obviously the guys you already have there, like I said, with Nico Collins, Laremy Tunzel, bring in Danielle Hunter. Like, gosh, like Derek Stingley was a really good draft pick last year. This is a really good Houston team. And let's be real, a lot of people did not see them playing as well as they did last year. They kind of came out of nowhere. People thought it was Jacksonville's division in the bag and ended up having. But there is that potential of that sophomore slump because it's about a 50-50 chance if it happens or not for a lot of players. And that is an opportunity for CJ Stroud to experience that.
He's too good, man.
You never know. People said the same thing about RG3. Obviously, it was a little different. He experienced injury and it was pretty bad, but it's possible. We never know. I think it's closer than what the odds say. I got to go with Jacksonville just because I'm just going to be a homer here. No other reason for it because, quite honestly, I think this is a toss-up. I have a hard time picking between Houston and Jacksonville, but I think the experience of Jacksonville plays in their favor. I think this is a team that should have won the division last year. They were winning the division last year, just completely choked right at the end and allowed Houston to come back. And this is a Jacksonville team that's better than what they were last year. So I'm going to go with the Jags going into the season.
Quick side note, we could talk about the Colts. You got Joe Flacco backing up Richardson. How do you feel about Richardson as a quarterback?
I don't know, man.
That's another team that's like, I gotta watch.
I think they're competitive. Games. They're good. They're not terrible. Obviously, they're not Tennessee Titans bad, but they're another team that outperformed last year. I think the AFC South shouldn't be as good as they are right now, but they actually are. It was a quick turnaround for the division. I thought the division was going to be pretty weak for a while, but everybody just seemed to get better quickly. So I'm with a more wait and see with the Colts. I'm curious to see how that moves forward. But anyways, let's move on to the NFC North. And before I pass it over to you, Gabe, the Baltimore Ravens are plus 145. Cincinnati Bengals are plus 165. Cleveland Browns are plus 450. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are plus 750. I think this is a very competitive division. I think this is the most competitive division from top to bottom in the AFC, because Pittsburgh, even though, yes, they're in last place in odds,
Tomlin
this is still a very competitive team, and they always find a way.
Find a way to 500, baby.
Get 500 or above, squeak into a wild card. If not, they're fighting to the very last week to get in. And this Cleveland Browns team, you're getting Deshaun Watson back, an absolutely stud defense that led them to the playoffs in a fifth seed, going 9-5. Or 10-5 or 11-5. I don't remember what the record is, but I couldn't believe it with a Joe Flacco, and now you're getting a healthy Joe Burrow back for Cincinnati Bengals, and then obviously a upgraded Baltimore team. I mean, this is a Baltimore team that continues to get better. So I think overall, this is a pretty damn good division. But Gabe, who do you got, and what do you think?
I would tend to agree. This division to me has always been like, for me, like the past 10 years, this division has been the most contentious, the most. There's always it seems like there are always like three teams from this division that's always in the playoffs. I would tend to agree. I think the Ravens are heavy favorites for a reason. I think I can see this team going deep in the playoffs. I think they're a staple there. But I would tend to disagree with the odds here. I'm a little bit higher on the Cleveland Browns. I do like the talent on the Cleveland Browns a little bit more. And for me, Cincinnati, I've been high on them in the past. It's kind of like due to injuries and stuff. It's kind of like. Not wasted opportunity. It's just potential hasn't been realized with the Cincinnati Bengals. It is a way to see, like you said, the Steelers. Don't count on the Steelers. They're gonna 500. Fucking Tomlin is gonna be over 500 at the end of the season. He finds a way somehow. That man has job security for the rest of his life. If he wants to be a Steeler coach, he'll die a Steeler coach or retire one. So yeah, this is super competitive. I don't think the Steelers will do anything this year. Obviously, you got to see with Russell Wilson. That is something to watch. Like, I'm not like predicting they're going to go all the way deep, but it is something I want to see. Like, how does Russell Wilson fit?
It's one of the better situations they've had in a while.
Yeah. But yeah, I would switch that. I would say Ravens, obviously number one. I think they're the favorite to come out, but I would put the Browns a little bit higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Browns make a deeper run than the Bengals. But like I said, super competitive. Kind of roll the ball out and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think Baltimore wins this. They just seem just too good on all fronts. They're just a really well-built team that Harbaugh's got over there. I wanted to root for the Bengals. When doing my research on both these teams, I felt pretty good about the Bengals. The thing is, when you got Joe Burrow, anything's possible. And then you still have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, getting that situation cleaned up and figured out. They can always sneak up on somebody. But the Bengals, man, I don't feel like they got better. Like, looking at their transactions, it felt like they made a lot of lateral moves and lost some pieces. Losing Joe Mixon is a big one. He was a huge part of this offense for the past few years for the Bengals, and now he's gone. Offensive line still has question marks. I think they were slightly improved from 2 years ago to last year, but I don't know how well this is going to hold up and if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. And I think there's just a lot of question marks when they come to the Bengals. But when the Bengals are good, they are good and they can compete with anybody. And look, man, even without Joe Burrow, this was a team that was still fighting for playoff position. But the Baltimore Ravens, I think, are just going to be too good to combat them. I can see them splitting, quite honestly, in their back-to-back matchups. But yeah, I'm gonna go Baltimore. I still like Cincinnati second, so I'm going to disagree with you on that. I don't know with Deshaun Watson. He feels like he's hurt every single year. If honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a world where Pittsburgh can possibly get into that third place spot, depending on if Russell Wilson comes in, or shit, you never know. Justin Fields goes in and actually absolutely balls out and takes the number one job and plays really well. So
yeah, and I'll say on defense, I've liked the Bengals in the past. I think their defensive line has been one of the best. We've seen them in deep player runs and the playoffs. So their defensive line, I had more questions about their secondary, but we'll see, man. It's only week one.
Only week one. And Evan McPherson, bro. Best kicker in the league. All right. Let's move over to the AFC West. So my overall thoughts on this is just Kansas City's to take. I think it's going to be a cakewalk for them. I think the Chargers are going to be able to be competitive. They're going to be pretty good. But defensively, the Chargers are well. And I would say in the running back position, they look good. And I think Justin Herbert is going to come back healthy and looking good this season. But there's just no wide receiver talent on this team. It felt like they've lost everybody that made them so high-powered. I'm curious to see how, especially now you're bringing in a guy in Jim Harbaugh who hasn't been in the NFL for almost a decade now, if not a decade. Yeah. Let's see how he adjusts to this new style. I mean, a lot has changed over the years. I think that he's a good coach at the end of the day, but this is still like a quasi-rebuild. It's not a full rebuild, but it's kind of Chargers are more of a wait-and-see team for me. I don't know if they're quite ready yet to really make a push at the Chiefs or even a wild card. I don't see them being absolutely terrible, though. They could probably get 7 to 8 wins, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, there's big questions I have with the Chargers offense. They have Herbert is kind of like, hey, you've been around for a while. Show me something. Can you make a deep playoff run? Can you not, barely make it to the playoffs? But yeah, I think this is home away. This is Kansas City Chiefs. They've won twice in a row. This is easily the Chiefs' division to win, and everybody else below them is like, what moves are you making to be better than Patrick Mahomes? So I'm going Chiefs easy. This is not even not that hard of a decision to make.
Yeah, I think the most interesting team coming out of this division would be like, what will we see? I'm actually kind of interested in what the Broncos are going to look like, and I'm interested in how the Chargers are going to play out this season to see Jim Harbaugh back into the fold.